everyone, thanks for watching this video. My name is Lathrop. I am the United States Coffee Competitions Coordinator, and I'm joined here today by...
I'm JacksonBey. I am the National Coordinator for the United States Chapter of the Specialty Coffee Association.
Flawless. So what we're here to do today is share a quick video that is meant to be a lot of general information about hosting a coffee competition preliminary event. If you've never heard about prelims before, they are very exciting. They are designed to be small, member-driven, hosted coffee competitions in your region, in your city, or at your roastery or at your cafe. These are events that are hosted by US chapter members that are meant to be a way to introduce a broader range of participants to the United States coffee competition format, to provide events that are more local and easier to get to for baristas, brewers, roasters, cup tasters, other competitors, as well as judges, volunteers, and audience members. These serve as a vetting event. So the people who compete at these smaller prelims and do very well and finish in the top 6 in some cases will have a guaranteed spot into the coffee qualifier of their choice. And it also just gives people the opportunity to try out competition in a little bit of a lower stakes format. Prelims are designed to be less expensive, easier to travel to, as I mentioned, and you shouldn't have to bring a lot of wares and coffee and other accessories with you. Prelims are really events where you should be able to show up as you are with your skill set and perform and compete alongside anyone else who arrives. So we are returning to prelims this year after a long hiatus due to the pandemic, and we're really, really excited to come back to hosting prelims. If you're watching this video, you might be interested in hosting a prelim. So our goal, as I said, is to cover a lot of information and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. All of this information will be available online, and we'll also be sharing the prelims rules and regulations, which should also review a lot of this very important information. So the first thing to know is that these events are brought to you by the USCC committee and the US chapter. That's why both of us are here talking about this, as our groups are working in tandem to support prelims this year. All hosts will receive a host packet, which is going to include a couple items to help them plan their event. The packet will include a schedule template, which you can fill in with the hours and the schedule of your event specifically, a guide to how to build a registration platform and take care of registration at your event, volunteer job descriptions, so you know how many volunteers to recruit and what all of those people will be doing. Scorekeeping tabulators, which are very helpful for calculating and note-taking for scores, as well as thorough supply lists. That will all be included in the host packets.
Right. And so right now we're looking at for the timeline for not just the prelims, but the entire United States Coffee Championship season is that June 1st to the 15th, the prelims hosts applications will open. June 27th, we'll notify the host and they'll be asked to accept, and then we'll announce those prelim locations publicly on July 5th. During the months of July, August, September, and October, that's when we're going to have our prelims. We don't have actual dates for that yet because as part of the application process, the host chooses which state they would like. And then once we announce the host, we'll announce the dates along with that. The qualifying events right now are tentatively scheduled for early December for the first qualifier and the end of January for the second qualifier. And in April, we'll have the 2022 United States Coffee Championships.
It feels like it's going to be here before we know it. So a little bit about a venue for a prelim. There are a lot of types of spaces that will work to host a prelim. We've seen prelims hosted successfully at roasteries, retail cafes, event centers, all kinds of different like wedding reception venues. Really, all you need is a space that's capable of filling up with some coffee equipment, and you need a couple of different designated areas. So you'll want to have an area for registration or check-in. That's going to be a table, maybe 1 or 2 chairs for volunteers. You'll need a competitor preparation room, a place where competitors can lay out their equipment anywhere that they've brought with them, and also have kind of a quiet space to prepare for their presentation time. You need to have a competition space, which is pretty obvious. We'll review the requirements for those competition spaces relative to each event in just a moment. We need to have a separate judge or deliberation room and a scorekeeping room. Ideally, both of these spaces would be a little bit quiet and away from the audience and the other competitors. This should be a quiet place for judges to deliberate and for scorekeeping to take place. All of these spaces will need a couple tables, a couple chairs, and then any other various items that would make sense if you were hosting people. Things like access to water, pretty nearby restrooms, trash cans, recycling bins, comfortable places to sit, and things like that.
So insofar as costs for the host, the primary fees really are just going to go towards the presiding head judges, travel and accommodation costs. So if you're a host and you're kind of wondering how you could pay for that, don't forget you can always reach out to local businesses or people in your area that have helped you a portion in the past to help defray some of these costs. The fee for that is going to be between $1,000 and $1,500. And that's going to depend on the location for the head judge, travel, accommodation, and meals and incidentals. And that's going to be calculated based upon the government rates per city. So it's going to be different depending upon which city is hosting which preliminary competition. And the head judge will be assigned by the U.S. Competition Committee.
Perfect. Yeah. And if you want to host multiple events, you do need a presiding head judge for each of those events. So if you're thinking, we'd love to do roasters and coffee and good spirits, that's 2 head judges. If you're thinking, we're just going to do a brewers competition, that's just 1 head judge. So those fees are by the number of head judges that you have on hand. What is a presiding head judge? The presiding head judge is really a person who sanctions and makes official your prelim event. This is a certified head judge who has served as a head judge at a competition previously. It's usually someone on that events committee. They are there to be responsible for training all of your volunteer judges. So it's important to note, to judge a prelim, you don't have to have any prior judging experience. The presiding head judge will help train all new judges. And they'll train the judges during what's called a judges workshop, or sometimes referred to as a judges calibration day. So the head judge will host that day. They'll also ensure that the competition is following all the rules and regulations for prelims. They will be on site to answer any rules questions, and they'll be in charge of writing the judges' schedule and just really any other general needs that come up. If competitors have special questions or appeals, the head judge is the person who can kind of be like the authority on all of those types of conversations. Next, we'll take a minute to review all the necessary equipment that you'll need for any event that you may be interested in hosting. And just as Adam said earlier with the question about costs, if you don't have all of these equipment, pieces in your facility right now, don't worry. You can always consider partnering with other coffee shops, roasteries, retailers, or equipment manufacturers, and try to pool resources to put together, a great prelim experience.
And remember, this is just a brief overview of what's needed. The full equipment list and the competition format and all of that will be listed in the prelim rules and regulations. So we're going to start with the barista competition. For that, you'll be 8 to 24 competitors over 1 or 2 days. You would need 6 to 12 sensory judges, 2 to 6 tech judges, and at least 1 head judge. For this competition, you would need one to two espresso grinders alongside 1 or 2 espresso machines. You also need enough dairy milk for each competitor, and you would need wares, like basic wares that you would need for a coffee competition. So you would need cups, espresso and cappuccino, macchiato cups, steaming pitchers, knock boxes, etc. Just things that and spoons, demi-tasse spoons, things of that nature. Just to make sure that, like Lauren said before, a competitor could just walk in and be able to do their routine without needing to bring anything extra. You also need 2 or more coffees from 2 or more roasters. This is so that each competitor is able to select the compulsory coffee that they like the most, and you would need cupping or batch brewing equipment.
Yeah. And that cupping and batch brewing equipment is going to come up for a lot of different events because, as Adam said, that is how our competitors will choose which coffee they compete with. The host will provide the coffee from either their own company or from other neighboring companies. This is really your way to reach out to other coffee companies in your area and sort of do something fun all together. But when the competitors get on site, they will either cup that coffee or taste it via batch brewing and then select the coffee that they choose to compete with. That'll be the same for the Brewer's Cup. So let's talk about Brewer's Cup minimum requirements. If you want to host a Brewer's Cup, what you'll need is you'll open up spots for between 6 to 16 competitors over 1 to 2 days. That's going to be based on your schedule that you set. So if you only have a limited time, you might kind of tend towards that smaller number, which is totally okay. You'll want to make sure that you have between 4 and 8 judges plus 1 head judge, at least 1. You'll need 1 to 2 hot water towers, 1 to 2 filter or bulk coffee grinders, and 2 or more, sorry, we already mentioned that, 2 or more coffees from 2 or more roasteries, plus a way to brew that equipment. It might also be nice to have multiple brewing methods on hand. Some competitors will bring their own, like AeroPresses, Kalita Waves, V60 pour over cones. But if you have some of those things available, we could put those out too. That would be awesome.
So for coffee and good spirits or 6 competition, that would be 4 to 12 competitors over 1 to 2 days. And for those competitors, you need 4 to 8 taste judges, 1 to 2 visual judges, and again, at least 1 head judge. You would need 1 or 2 hot water towers and 1 or 2 filter or bulk coffee grinders alongside whiskey, vodka, and rum. So for the warehouse supplies, you're going to need your typical, the same sort of things you need for barista. So espresso cups, and cappuccino cups and things like that. But you also need bar tools. This might be a good time to reach out to your local bars or coffee/bar like concepts, things like that, to see what kind of tools that they have for manual brewing to help with the drink building portion of the coffee and good spirits. Because remember, this is a coffee cocktail competition. You will also need ice, and again, 2 or more coffees from 2 or more different roasters, and cupping or batch brewing equipment.
Yep. Moving on to the cup tasters minimum requirements. Cup tasters is super easy. You just need space for between 4 and 18 competitors over 1 to 2 days. You need batch brewing equipment. This can look like commercial batch brewing equipment like large Bun or Fetco brewers, but could also look like a number of smaller SCA certified brewers like Technivorms, Bonavitas, those types of brewers. You need a minimum of 50 cupping bowls and cupping spoons. A head judge isn't required for cup tasters. If you've ever watched that cup tasters format, it's just that head-to-head triangulation sort of race to taste the most cups. But it will be very important to have a strong stage manager who is facilitating that cup taster stage and keeping things moving forward, and a few volunteers to brew the cups and mark the cups and bus cups back and forth from the table.
So for latte art, again, you're going to need 12 to 18 competitors for 1 to 2 days. You need 6 to 8 visual judges, 3 to 4 tech judges, and at least 1 head judge. Alongside, you need 1 or 2 espresso grinders with 1 or 2 espresso machines, dairy milk again, and wares supplies for like specifically you would need milk pitchers and a 10-ounce latte cup, and you would need 2 or more coffees from 2 or more roasters at an Agtron scale of 40 to 60. The reason being is that the coffee has to work well with holding a flat white style milk foam. And if you have any questions about that, the latte art committee will get in contact with you and help you go through like what kind of coffees to select for that. Potentially, you would need equipment to set up an overhead camera so that you can photograph the competitors' pours.
Yeah, that Agtron scale is a little bit of an extra requirement for that roasted coffee, but I think that the latte art committee would work with you to actually check your coffee ahead of time and make sure it was up to spec. The last event, which you could host, is the roasting competition. The roasting competition is a little bit different than the other events, where roaster competitors actually roast their coffee offsite. And then when they come to competition, they present their competition for cupping and for an audience presentation. So a little bit similar to the cup tasters competition, all you need to provide is space for 6 to 12 competitors over 1 to 2 days, between 2 and 4 sensory judges, at least 1 head judge. And if you are the host that is going to be providing the green coffee, you need to provide 20 pounds of green coffee per competitor, which will be shipped to them 2 weeks prior to the competition. Once they get to the competition, that coffee will be assessed by those sensory judges, and then you'll need batch brewing equipment for audience service. Our roaster competitors will give a short presentation about their coffee and about their roast plan while serving or allowing audience members to serve themselves with their roasted coffee. As we wrap up here, remember that all of the information about prelims will be available very shortly at the website, uscoffeechampionships.org. And you can always reach out directly to us with any questions by emailing uscompetitions@sca.coffee. Adam and I cannot wait to do an Instagram Live next week. That's going to be on June 8th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to hop on both the USCC and the chapter's Instagram page, do a very brief frantic takeover and answer any questions for any of you guys who might hop on that call. So if you have questions after watching this recording, remember to save that date and time and join us on Instagram Live a week from this Thursday.
Right. And if you are out there and you're have been wanting to get involved with the coffee community at the greater level, or if you are already a member of the US chapter leadership committee, remember this is a really good time to try to find local businesses that or folks that you think will be really excited to compete or to host an event or to even volunteer, because this is a volunteer and judge, because this is a really good way to get involved in the community on a national level, especially if you've been doing a lot of really cool stuff locally. You could start to like see what people are doing around the country a little more. So just again, reach out to folks that you think will be good hosts for prelims, reach out to folks that you think will be good timekeepers or judges for prelims, and reach out to folks who think that'd be a really good competition competitor.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm really excited that prelims are back. I think they are the most fun way to get exposed to competitions in a way that is easy and a little bit low stress and hopefully lower costs. I hear from people all the time that they want to get started as a judge or they want to get started as a competitor, but it's hard to get a space in the qualifying events or it's hard to travel to those. So this is our opportunity to get a whole bunch of people really excited about competitions. And you know, we've seen some really successful prelims in the past, which have been about more than just competition. The competition can just be a small part of your prelim. Consider also scheduling a latte or a throwdown for the evening before the prelim event to kick off the event, or partnering with other local businesses like breweries or food trucks and putting together a little like coffee-centric block party. We've seen companies celebrate their company's anniversary party by hosting a prelim and then throwing a big party with live music. This is really a chance for you to open up your doors to your community, host an event that is going to be structured and supported for you by the USCC and the chapter, and then make it your own and make it whatever you want. So thanks so much for watching this video. Remember to email us if you have any questions or hop on the Instagram Live next week so we can chat more. Again, I'm Lauren.
Adam.
And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.